Hello, you're watching Ellie from Elementary Paper Crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK, and I've been playing a game with some of the items from two of the recent catalogues, the Autumn Winter Mini Catalogue and the SALE-A-BRATION Catalogue. From the SALE-A-BRATION Catalogue, I've used the delicate dahlias before in a video, so you've seen something of what it can do, but I'm going to use it in a completely different way today. I'm also going to introduce you to the new cling stamp set, Gorgeous Leaves, and as the name suggests, it really is gorgeous. Now I'm going to do what they call a one sheet wonder technique today, which isn't something I do a lot, but I really do love it. So I'm going to start off by using a stencil for this one. Sorry, I just had something in the wrong order there. I'm using a stencil which is from the annual catalogue, which went live in May, and I'm going to use Sahara sand. I'm just going to bring in a piece of scrap paper because I might go off the edge here. So Sahara sand and a blending brush, and I use a really big blending brush for this because it's a large stencil. I'm going all over the page. I don't want to mess around in little corners, so I'm just going to start here in this corner, take the strong colour off, and it doesn't matter whether I'm heavy or light on the ink, I just want something in the background. So this is kind of very casual kind of thing. Some parts of it you will hardly see, some parts will be quite prominent, but that's the idea of this. It's just put my background down. Now you'll see that I'm just moving the paper around as I go rather than reaching across my work to reach, and this just helps me to see what I'm doing better. I find if something's here in front of me, I can work with it better than it being over there. So that's what I wanted, a really kind of random look. The stencil's just gone into a bowl of water to clean. The next one I'm going to bring in is this sort of wood effect here, which I think is really pretty. And I'm going to use crumb cake for this one. And this one I'm going to use first, second and probably third generation stamping, so I get a different effect of this wood grain all over. And it's a good idea to turn the stamp here and there, different angles, to get a different look. The next stamp I'm using is this one here, and I'm using Bumblebee colour for that. Again, I'm not going to just use full strength ink all the time. I'm coming in and just using the ink that's on the stamp to give that different kind of look, and always stamping off the edges just to give a little bit coming on. It really helps with the design. Okay, that's enough of that. I am using kind of autumnal colours here. One, because, well, it just happens to be my favourite colour, and two, because, well, whenever I see leaves, I always think of autumn. Just love the autumnal colours. So speaking of that, I'm using cinnamon cider and coming in with this leaf shape here. And again, going to be using several different generations of stamping for this one. And I really love this particular leaf, and I like the fact that you can use it to make a kind of shape as well. It's not just, you know, definitely a single leaf on its own. So again, coming in and stamping off the edge at different angles to get a different look. And sometimes it's really nice to deliberately stamp over another one, because leaves, when they fall in autumn, they do fall all higgledy-piggledy, don't they, all one on top of the other. And I like to get the sort of natural effect. Then the last of the leaves I'm going to use is this one here. And for that, I'm using Old Olive. And I really am randomly stamping. There's absolutely no order to what I'm doing. And that, if anyone who knows me well, knows that that's really not me. I'm quite an organised person. I always know exactly what's going to go where. So this is quite out of my comfort zone. But once I start and I get in to see how it's looking, I absolutely love it. So the stamp I'm using now is this big sort of, I don't know how else to describe it, but splotches. And I'm using soft seafoam, which is, I think, a gorgeous, delicate colour that's kind of only just there, but gives you some nice coverage without being in your face. So yeah, I quite like that. I think that's really nice. Nice and soft. Then in contrast, I'm using Cajun Craze with this tiny little splattery speckled stamp here. So this is quite a dense colour, a darkish colour, and that's going to be stamped again wherever I see fit to use it. And I quite like the boldness of this. I'm only going to use the full strength now. Just use a little bit of second generation there. Pop another one in there. Yep, I'm liking that. And the final stamp I'm using on this background, I'm going to use Cherry Cobbler. And actually there are 3 tiny little stamps here, which I think are really sweet. And they're really useful for this kind of stamping because you get into little spaces. And I've mounted the 3 together on a small block. And I'm just popping them in any gaps. Always turn the stamp when you're doing this kind of thing so you get a different look from it each time you stamp. Do you see these little stamps? They fit into those little gaps, which is really useful. I'm happy with that. I think, yeah, I think that's enough. Now the next thing I'm going to do is use this One Sheet Wonder as a background for 4 cards. So the way I'm going to do that is to cut this into 4 equal pieces by cutting straight down the middle and straight across. But rather than cut that up in front of you and take time, I'm going to do that off camera, and I'm going to make up some card blanks and mats, and then I'll be back to show you how to finish this off. So I've now cut the one sheet wonder into 4, and I cut each piece down to a measurement of 3 5/8 by 5 1/4 inches, and I've mounted each of those onto a piece of cardstock, and I've chosen 4 different colours that I used actually while I was stamping. So this one is the Cajun Craze one, okay, and I've chosen very vanilla cardstock because that was the colour of my card that I first stamped onto. This mat measures 5 1/2 by 5 3 7/8, and that fits perfectly onto the A6 size card base. Oh, I got there in the end. And this one I've just folded slightly differently. Normally they're portrait, note like that, but I fancied a change to that one. Now, while I was away, I also stamped the big dahlia image onto some more very vanilla, and using my snips, my Stampin' Up snips, which are absolutely brilliant, they stay sharp forever, I fussy cut this. Now I know some of you might think, oh my goodness, that's just dreadful, but it really didn't take me long at all. Now I just want to give that dahlia a little, oh sorry, I used cherry cobbler for that. I just wanted to give that dahlia a little bit of life. So I took my bone folder and just from the center, holding it with my finger and thumb, my other thumb on top, and I just gave it some shaping. So kind of like made it into a domed shape. And to keep that shape, you need to give it some sort of elevation. If you just used wet glue, it would just go flat again. So I'm taking our Stampin' Up dimensionals, and I only need 3 of these, and I am deliberately putting them all in the center so that when we stick it on, it remains dome shaped. If I were to put them all over, then you would have wasted your time shaping it. So before I add that, I'm actually going to add the mat onto my card base, because then I can actually flatten it down nicely. So I'm just looking at this and deciding where I think I'd like my flower to go. And I've also taken one of the greetings from the stamp set, which is "Oh, so happy for you." And I've also just put that on a mat of the Cajun Craze, the same colour as I've used for my mat there. And I just like to play around with my images before I commit to where I'm going to stick things. So not quite sure where I want to put this. Yep, I think that's how I'm going to do it. So I've already put some double-sided tape on the back, tear and tape, and I'm just taking off my 4 corners, a little trick that I always use. And when I bring it onto the card, I'm only pressing in the center where there is no glue. I've only removed the backing from the edges, so once I'm happy, I just press down on the edges, and then I can remove that tear and tape. So there's my card. So I'm going to pop my, can't remember what I said I was going to do now, but I don't know what I said I was going to do, but I'm going to do this now and take the backing off these. I think what I did there was I stuck my top mat on upside down, so no worry, I still think it looks nice there. So I just wanted something to be in front of those leaves so it looks like it's coming out, and that's what I've got. So I'm just going to pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of this so that it comes up to match the dahlia. Okay, so to save time, I went on and prepared the other cards. So as I said, I chose different colour mats. So that's the Cajun Craze. And then I brought in Cherry Cobbler because we'd used the Cherry Cobbler. And that again is the same fold. Then I've used the soft seafoam, which is what we used for the larger splatter. And with the soft seafoam background, I felt that the edge of this card was disappearing. So I just took a blending brush and the Cherry Cobbler and very lightly went around the edges just to bring it in so that it's now defined. And that's a top folding card, like so. On the fourth and final one, I brought in the Bumblebee, which is what we used for this leaf. And again, used the Cherry Cobbler to go around the outside to give it some distinction on the edges, and used another of the sentiments. That's all 4 sentiments I've used, and again edged it with the Bumblebee to match in with the card. I do hope you've liked that video and that you'll give these techniques a try, and if I can help you with any items from Stampin' Up, if you're watching on YouTube, check the description box below because I'll put a link there to my online shop. If you're watching on Facebook, then there's a link saying shop with me or shop now at the top of my page. I'd very much appreciate it if you would like, follow, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like my page, press all the buttons for me, and if you're so inclined, share with like-minded people. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.